Many years ago, I still remember vividly. We were playing in the compound, and then my mom called to do the regular checkup to check our blood level if it's something she could help us boost with vegetable or other things there is herbs there is in boosting blood. And she found out that yeah, our blood level is okay and there is no cause for alarm. So that very night, when we slept, one of my siblings started convulsing. This should be around past 12 in the midnight. My dad wasn't around. So mom called on the neighbor to come. God bless our neighbors. So one of them came that night and took my mom to the hospital. Before they took her to the hospital, my mom had tried how to use the local method for convulsion, like the palm kernel oil and the rest, but it didn't work. Before she resorted to calling on neighbors, and then they got to the hospital. And when they went there, and the doctors were saying, it's shortage of blood, it's malaria, it's typhoid, it's so the reports were just they were not they were not tallying. They started treatment. First, they started the malaria and typhoid treatment. And they said they could not complete it because there was shortage of blood. Her blood level was very low. And so mom was confused because that was the day she called us and checked on us to know if um, she had to boost our blood, giving us some supplements or some vegetables. And she discovered that our blood level was okay. So how come? That was spiritual attack. Because how do you explain a scenario whereby a child is fine, no symptom of headache, not like previously or the previous week she has been complaining, nothing like that. So when they continued the treatment, it was not getting any better. Our mom called her pastor and then he came with prayers, everything. Mom was praying. She has always been a prayer warrior. She has always been an intercessor. She was one who took us to Christ at a very tender age. I learned how to pray from mom. I can't even pray like she prays, but God is helping me. We're in the hospital for about 4 days, and she was not getting any better. It got to a point my sister became cold. Doctors came and checked and went back. Mom was asking, "What is the problem, doctor? What's happening?" The doctor just shook his head, or rather waved his head, and went away. So the nurse came. They could not administer any other medication or injection or even drip. Her mom was confused, asking for answers. What happened? And no one was giving her any tangible answer. In the end, one of the nurses came and said, "Madam, this your pikin don't go." My mom said, "Go where?" She said, "She don't give up the ghost." My mom said, "God forbid." I was sitting by her side. And she said, "God forbid. Never. My pikin no go anywhere. See, make una just dey give am medicine, she go better." The nurse try to convince my mom. And I think our pastor was there that day and he just stood by the side. Maybe they had already told him, but he was looking for a way to inform my mom. So what they were trying to do was to convince her or to confuse her and then cover the corpse. My mom sat down there and said, "No." So, madam, we'll carry the child for lab test. Sorry, is blood that is remaining. If we administer blood, this child will be fine. But they knew that that child has gone. My mom said, "Okay." But they said they don't have blood. My mom said, "Okay, take from me." They said, madam. She said, "Take my own." I said, "Okay, before we take your blood, we'll have to run some series of tests also to know first if both of you are compatible, if you can donate blood to her." Mom said, "Okay." She carried my sister. This girl has gone. She was just like this. And people were like saying, madam, sorry, madam, sorry. This pikin no go. I say, my pikin no go anywhere. She no go anywhere. I will not bury any of the children that God has given unto me. Neither will there be invalid. I was just running, following my mother, and they asked me to stand somewhere. And after they carried out the lab test, the blood test and all, it was discovered that um they were not compatible. And dad was not around. Dad was in Cameroon, and there was no way to reach him because prior to that time, even when they were in the hospital, they were trying to reach him, but no way. So luckily, so he came to town, and someone told him, see what's happening, and then he rushed down to the hospital. That was county hospital, Labarge. So when he came, there was an accident victim that they were bringing in too, like matured young man like this. In fact, the scene was gory. So when my dad came, he said, um, they are trying to tell my mom that this child is gone, but she's still. My mom said, no, 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 come and give the, come and donate blood. The doctor said once they administer blood, that the child will be fine. But they were trying to convince my dad also that this child has gone. My dad too said, no, just put the blood because there was no pulse, there was no heartbeat. My mom was just praying all any reports the doctor brings or the nurses, she rejects it and said, no, that is not for my child. The Lord, God did not say I'll bury any of my child. He did not tell me that. I watched my mom. I was crying because I was helpless. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. Finally, my dad donated one big pint of blood, zip pint or pint of blood. So when they were bringing it, they extracted just little, that smallest pint or pint. That was what they brought. And my mom was like, where is the remaining blood? Anyways, that is not an issue because she suspected that those accident victims that came in, they used that blood for them because my dad's a universal donor. They fixed that blood around 4, past 4. My mom sat down there. Remember, she has been having sleepless nights. But to her, it was nothing compared to what she's asking God for. She just wanted her child to be okay. She refused the report of the doctors. So mom sat there. 4, 5. I went to prepare food. I came back. 6. The blood was not flowing. Mom was praying. Mom was praying. Around some minutes to 7, mom was praying and looking at the blood, the pint of blood also. It did not drop. So around that past some minutes to 7, it dropped 1. My mom screamed and Beck called on the nurse, called on the doctor to come that the blood is flowing. And they thought maybe something has happened because they knew that this girl had gone. So when the doctor came, he stood there. He was just mute. He couldn't say anything for some time and he said, how? And then he left. The nurses came also. They were trying to complete other thing. Because when I got home that day, I had cried. I cried because when I passed through the reception, I heard the nurses saying, that pikin don't die. This woman, if she, when I don't try to confuse her, convince her, say the pikin don't die, she no gree. When I don't try to confuse her, say the pikin don't die, she no gree. Make una just come up, cover her bed, make they carry the pikin come up for bed. I went out, I was crying. I was going home, I was crying. I was crying. But I experienced it. My sister came back and she's all grown today. I knew that it was God's mercy. He heard my mother's prayers and he showed her mercy. I've always learned to trust God through her. She's my role model because most of the things she experienced in life, she's the kind of person that if it is not from God, don't give to me. I will not take it. And she has been standing in the gap for us. She taught us how to fast. Doesn't matter your age, oh. Whether you are 1 year, you will do 6 to 10. and then you'll be graduating from 6 to 10 to 6 to 11 until you get to 6 to 12. She's a woman of prayer. And it has really helped me a lot in my journey as a woman, as a human, to always trust God, to always communicate to God in prayers. And I can tell you for free that God answers prayers. Mothers, pray. Pray for your children. Pray for your husband. Pray for your home. Pray. Store that prayer in the prayer bank. Even when it comes to time when you are not spiritually strong to stand in the gap, those prayers you've banked, you've saved, will work for you. In such a time as this, pray. Pray for your children. Pray that the Lord makes himself known to your children. Pray that God should always make them to be aware of his presence and never let anything snatch them from his hands. Be it youthful experience, adolescent, lust of the eyes, lust of the flesh, pride of life. Pray that God help them to develop a godly character that glorifies God in all they do. Pray that their faith will always be stronger than the forces they battle. God will answer our prayers. In Jesus' name. Amen.
Please subscribe, like my video, and leave a comment. Thank you.